Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're doing something a little different. We aren't just looking at a story. We're actually transporting you back to a very specific, kind of a very tactile moment in television history. I want you to close your eyes and picture the date, May 30, 2010.
Oh, wow. Yeah. A very different world back then.
Completely. I mean, the iPad had literally just been released a month prior. People were still sort of figuring out if it was just a big iPhone.
Right, right.
And Lost had finished its final season exactly 1 week earlier, so it left the entire cultural conversation in this state of absolute confusion and debate.
Which is funny because amidst all that noise, on a Sunday night on AMC, a show called Breaking Bad was just quietly airing the 11th episode of its third season.
Exactly.
It creates such a vivid snapshot when you put it that way.
Yeah.
Because Breaking Bad wasn't the juggernaut yet, was it?
No, not
Oh,
all.
it wasn't the show that everyone and their grandmother was watching. It was still that gritty cult favorite that people whispered about at water coolers.
Right. It was still earning its stripes. And the episode we're looking at today is titled Abiquiu.
Abiquiu.
Okay,
It's a title that sounds beautiful, almost mystical. It rolls off the tongue.
Yeah.
But as we're going to find out, the content of this hour of television is incredibly heavy. It's really deceptive.
Yeah, we're talking about a pivotal moment where the stakes shift dramatically. For a long time, basically the first 2.5 seasons, really, Breaking Bad was about physical survival.
Mm-hmm.
It was about surviving lung cancer, surviving crazy volatile drug dealers like Tuco Salamanca or the cousins with the axe. It was visceral danger. But here in Abiquiu, the stakes shift to moral survival.
Which is often much harder to secure than physical safety. I mean, you can wear a bulletproof vest, but you can't wear a vest to protect your soul from erosion.
That's a great way to put it.
And just so you all know where we're pulling from today, we are basing today's deep dive on a massive stack of production notes, plot summaries, and critical reception data. We've combed through Wikipedia, obviously, but we're also pulling deep cuts from IGN, the AV Club, The Ringer, and Vulture, looking at reviews from the exact time it aired, plus retrospective rankings.
And our mission today is to unpack how this specific episode serves as a massive pivot point for two of the main characters. We're looking at Skyler White, who is integrating herself into the criminal enterprise in a way we just haven't seen before.
Yeah, she's not just a victim anymore.
Exactly. And we're also looking at Jesse Pinkman, who is about to run headfirst into a brick wall of consequences.
It's really a study in ripple effects.
Yeah.
You know, we often think of our actions as isolated events. We live in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in a show like this, characters justify things by saying, I did what I had to do in that specific second. But Abiquiu argues that nothing is isolated. The universe of Breaking Bad is a closed system. Past actions, specifically regarding the death of a character named Combo from way back, are coming back to haunt the present.
And before we get into the heavy stuff, the drug dealing and the money laundering, I have to say I am incredibly excited about the opening of this episode because we get a flashback. And not just any flashback, but the return of a character that I think we all missed dearly.
Oh, it serves such a crucial narrative function. It's not just fan service. It's really a thematic key. So let's not waste any time. Let's dive right into the prologue.
Okay, let's unpack this. The episode is titled Abiquiu. For those of us who aren't geography buffs or art history majors, what are we actually looking at here? Why this name?
So the title refers to Abiquiu, New Mexico. It's a small census-designated place in Rio Arriba County. It's remote, it's dusty, but it is famous globally for one specific reason. Georgia O'Keeffe. Yeah, the legendary modernist painter had a home and a studio there. In the art world, Abiquiu is synonymous with these sweeping, stark desert landscapes and a certain kind of artistic purity. It represents clarity.
And that's exactly where we find ourselves in the cold open. And I really want to talk about the visuals here because it is jarring. Usually Breaking Bad is yellow filters, gritty textures, shaky handheld cameras in the desert, or these dark, claustrophobic labs. Here, it's pristine.
It's clinical, but in a beautiful way. We are in the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum. The walls are stark white. The lighting is soft and diffused. It's quiet.
Yeah, no hum of ventilation fans, no gunfire, just peace.
And standing there, we see Jesse Pinkman. But it's not the Jesse we know from season 3 with the buzz cut and the sunken eyes. He looks cleaner, lighter. And he's with Margolis.
Played by the incredible Kristen Ritter. Seeing her again is a shock to the system for you as a viewer because we know her fate. We watched her die in season 2. We watched Walt watch her die.
Right. So immediately, this scene is drenched in dramatic irony. We are looking at a ghost. It's a flashback to a better time, but because we know the ending, it's tinged with this overwhelming sadness.
They're standing in front of a specific painting. It's called My Last Door. And I love the dialogue here because it feels so natural, yet so loaded. They're debating the meaning of the painting. Jesse is trying to be deep, maybe trying to impress her.
A little bit. He's trying to engage with her world. The writers, John Sheban and Thomas Schnaus, are using this conversation to really set the thematic table for the whole episode. Jesse looks at the painting, which is abstract, a dark rectangle against a lighter background, and he's struggling with it. He asks, why would she paint a door over and over again?
It's a fair question. I mean, and Jane's answer, this is the line that defines the episode for me. What is her take on it?
She says it's not the subject matter, it's the feeling. She concludes that O'Keefe wasn't trying to make some grand, morbid statement about death or endings. She says O'Keefe was simply trying to make a good feeling last.
Trying to make a good feeling last? I just want to pause on that. That hits me right in the chest.
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Think about who is saying it. Jane is a recovering addict at this point in the timeline. Jesse is struggling. When you look at addiction through that lens, what is it?
Yeah.
In its most reductive chemical sense, addiction is the desperate, often fatal attempt to make a good feeling last, to sustain a high that naturally wants to fade.
It's chasing the dragon. You're trying to freeze time in that moment of euphoria.
Exactly. But it's also broader than drugs. It's about happiness. It's about love. They are standing there, holding hands, looking at art. That is a good feeling. And the tragedy is that they, and you, the viewer, know, it cannot last. In the Breaking Bad universe, entropy is the only law. Things fall apart, good feelings are punished.
It's almost like the show is taunting us. It shows us this alternative universe where Jesse could have been a guy who goes to museums on weekends. He has the capacity for it. He's insightful. He's sensitive.
That's the heartbreak of Jesse Pinkman. He isn't a thug at heart. He's a sensitive soul who got caught in the gears of a machine he just doesn't understand. He has the capacity to appreciate the door, but he keeps walking through the wrong ones.
And that title, My Last Door, do you think that's a metaphor for Jane or for Jesse's innocence?
Both, really. For Jane, that relationship was her last door. She relapsed, and she died. For Jesse, this period of time before Combo died, before Jane died, before the plane crash, was the last time he was truly innocent, or at least hopeful. After this, the doors just keep slamming shut, one by one, until he's trapped.
Speaking of being trapped, let's pivot to the other major storyline. We have Skyler White. And if Jesse is looking at art and thinking about feelings, Skyler is looking at a spreadsheet and thinking about survival.
That is a fantastic contrast. While Jesse is in the ethereal world of art, Skyler is in the gritty reality of finance. She isn't just trapped, though. She is actively redecorating the cage. She is undergoing a massive evolution in this episode.
So the catalyst for this whole storyline is Hank Schrader. We know Hank was shot in that brutal parking lot attack by the cousins. He's alive, but he's in really bad shape.
He's a man of action who is now bedridden. He's emasculated. In his own eyes, he can't use the bathroom by himself. He's in pain. And he's lashing out at Marie. But the practical issue, the one that drives the plot, is the cost. Physical therapy isn't cheap, and his insurance is spotty.
So Marie, who is desperate, hands the medical bill to Skyler. This goes back to a lie Walt told earlier, that he has millions from illegal gambling and can help out. But here's the problem. Walt tries to pay the bill. How does he do it?
In the most Walt way possible. He brings cash.
Right.
Dirty, meth-scented cash. He's thinking like a low-level criminal. Here is money. Problem solved.
Skyler looks at that cash like it's radioactive waste. She stops him cold. She uses a word I love, unimpeachable.
Unimpeachable. It's such a specific legalistic word. Skyler understands something Walt doesn't. Walt thinks the danger is getting caught cooking meth. Skyler realizes the danger is getting caught spending the money. If you pay a DEA agent's medical bills with cash that can't be traced to a legitimate source, you are begging for an audit. And an audit leads to prison.
So Walt realizes she's right, and he takes her to meet the expert. He takes her to Saul Goodman's office.
This scene is comedy gold, but it's also crucial character development. You have the waiting room of hell, essentially.
Yeah.
Walt, the frustrated genius. Saul, the sleazy facilitator. And Skyler, the suburban mom who is suddenly the smartest person in the room.
She is completely unimpressed by Saul. The production notes actually say she is put off by him, which is an understatement. She looks at him like he's something she scraped off her shoe. But Saul has a plan. He pitches his big money laundering scheme.
The laser tag facility.
Sure. Danny's laser tag.
I mean, come on. Skyler White running a laser tag joint with the neon lights and the fog machines. It's absurd.
Saul defends it, though. His logic is sound. From a criminal 101 perspective, it's a cash business. Lots of kids paying with $20 bills. No real inventory to track. You can fake the number of games played easily. Oh, we had a busy Tuesday and boom, you laundered $10,000. Ideally, it works.
But Skyler shuts it down, and this is where it gets really interesting. She doesn't just say no. She explains why it fails the narrative test.
Right, she's thinking about the cover story. She says it doesn't fit. Why would Walt, a boring chemistry teacher, buy a laser tag place? It raises eyebrows. It looks weird. And in their world, weird gets you caught.
So she proposes the car wash, the A1A car wash.
The very place where Walt worked part-time in the pilot episode. The place where he was humiliated watching his own student's Corvette.
Why does she fight for this? Is she just trying to punish Walt by buying the place he hated?
That might be a subconscious bonus, sure. But legally and logically, it's the superior choice. It's mundane, it's boring. It makes sense that a man who worked there would buy it. But more importantly, from a laundering perspective, Skyler argues it's safer.
Wait, walk me through that. Why is a car wash better for laundering than laser tag?
It's about the consumables. Water, soap, wax. You can manipulate the usage rates. If you say you washed 100 cars, you just need to make sure you quote-unquote used enough soap for 100 cars. It's a high-volume, small-transaction cash business, just like laser tag, but it offers a veneer of respectable middle-class boredom that hides the crime perfectly, hiding in plain sight.
Saul hates it, of course. He probably doesn't have a corrupt manager there like he does at the laser tag place. But Skyler drops the hammer. She offers to manage it herself.
This is the crossing of the Rubicon. Up until now, Skyler has been an accessory after the fact. She's been passive. Now, she has offered to cook the books. She is offering to commit felonies on a daily basis. She says she will be the one to sign the checks and fudge the numbers.
Walt is actually terrified by this. He pushes back. He tells her, you can't be involved, you'd be liable. He's thinking, if I go down, you stay out.
And here is the plot twist that changes the entire legal landscape of the show. Skyler reveals she never filed the divorce papers.
Wait. If she never filed the papers, then she's been holding this card the whole time.
Exactly. She is still legally his wife.
So break down spousal privilege for us. Is it a magic wand?
Yeah.
Can they just commit crimes and the law can't touch them?
It's complex, and Skyler is banking on a specific interpretation. There are two types of privilege. One is testimonial privilege, which means you can't force a spouse to testify against the other in a criminal trial. If they are divorced, that protection is largely gone. By staying married, she ensures she can't be compelled to take the stand and destroy him.
But there's a catch, right? If they are partners in crime.
Correct. That's the crime fraud exception. If the spouses are co-conspirators in a joint criminal enterprise, the privilege doesn't necessarily apply to communications made to further that crime. However, Skyler is betting that the marriage adds a massive layer of obfuscation and makes the prosecution's job much, much harder. She's using their marriage as a legal shield.
It's so cold. It's so calculated. She's becoming the CFO of Heisenberg Inc.
She is. And frankly, she's better at it than Walt. Walt is impulsive. Skyler's strategic. She's looking at the long game. She's Breaking Bad, but in a corporate boardroom kind of way.
While Skyler is securing the domestic front and the financial front, Walt has to deal with the upper management. We get a scene that is just dripping with tension. Gus Fring invites Walt to his home for dinner.
This scene is a masterclass in atmosphere. Think about where we usually see Gus. The fluorescent lights of Los Pollos Hermanos, the industrial steel of the Superlab, or the barren desert. Here, we are in a warm, beautifully lit, Spanish-style home.
It's civilized, there's art on the walls, there are vegetables being chopped. It feels like a cooking show.
But the silence is deafening. Did you notice the sound design?
Yes.
The knife hitting the cutting board, chop, chop.
Yeah.
It's rhythmic, but it feels violent. Gus is making paella, a traditional Chilean dish. Well, actually, it's Spanish, but he claims it as a specialty.
Why paella? Is there a significance to the food?
Paella is a communal dish. It's meant to be shared from a big pan with family and friends. It represents community. But here, it's just these two men eating it in a rigid, formal way. It highlights the isolation. They are pretending to be friends, pretending to be colleagues, but they're both sharks.
Gus plays the gracious host, but then he drops the mask just a little bit. He shares a regret. He tells Walt that in his early days, he didn't have a mentor.
That's a rare moment of vulnerability from Gus? Or is it, that's always the question with Fring, is he being human? Or is the human suit just being adjusted to manipulate Walt?
He follows it up with advice. He says, I made mistakes, you don't have to. And then the line that chills me, never make the same mistake twice.
Never make the same mistake twice. We have to parse that. What is the mistake?
On the surface, maybe he means don't trust the wrong people. But in context, he's talking about Jesse, isn't he?
100%. Gus views Jesse Pinkman as a liability. Jesse is an addict. He's emotional. He's volatile. Everything Gus is not. Gus is looking at Walt's loyalty to Jesse as a weakness. He's essentially saying, I learned the hard way that you cut dead weight. Why haven't you learned that yet?
It's a threat wrapped in a mentorship anecdote.
That is Gus Fring's superpower. He can threaten to kill your entire family while handing you a glass of wine and smiling. He is cementing their professional relationship, but he's also drawing a line in the sand. He's saying, you are smart, Walt. Be smart like me. Ditch the kid.
And the irony is, while Gus is warning Walt that Jesse is a liability, Jesse is out there proving him right, but also proving him wrong. It's complicated. Let's move to segment 4, Jesse's descent.
This is where the episode gets really dark. We know Jesse has been skimming meth from the lab. He's stealing the excess product.
Which is dumb. Walt warns him. He says, stop stealing, we make millions, why risk it for a few thousand? But Jesse is stubborn. He teams up with Badger and Skinny Pete.
The Rosencrantz and Guildenstern of the meth world.
Usually they're the comic relief. But the plan Jesse has for them is repulsive. He wants to sell the stolen blue meth to recovering addicts at Narcotics Anonymous meetings.
It's a new low.
Yeah.
It really is. NA is a sanctuary. It's a place where people are at their most vulnerable, trying to save their own lives. To go in there as a predator, it's morally bankrupt.
And what's fascinating is that even Badger and Skinny Pete, who are career criminals, who have been to prison, they are uncomfortable. They hesitate. They say, I don't know, man, this feels wrong. It's bad karma.
When Skinny Pete is the moral compass of the room, you know you have lost your way. But Jesse, he's on a warpath. He calls them out. He wants to prove how easy it is. He's cynical. He thinks we're all just addicts anyway. Why pretend?
So he targets a newcomer, a young woman named Andrea Cantillo, played by Emily Rios. She's at the meeting, she's struggling, and Jesse swoops in.
He starts the seduction, not just romantic, but chemical. He's grooming her to buy, but then the complication happens.
Right, he goes to her house, and he discovers she has a son, Brock.
Brock is played by Ian Posada. Seeing the kid changes the entire chemical equation in Jesse's brain. We know this about Jesse from the beginning. He has a soft spot for children. The little boy in the crack house in season 2. His own little brother. Jesse sees children as the only innocent things in a guilty world.
So when Andrea actually suggests they use meth, which is heartbreaking, seeing a mother backslide, Jesse declines. He stops. He has a code. I'm a bad guy, but I'm not get a mom high with her kid in the next room bad.
But he stays. He talks to her. And the rabbit hole goes deeper. Andrea mentions her younger brother, Tomás.
Tomás is 11 years old. 11.
Yeah, right.
And Andrea is terrified because he's getting mixed up with the local gangs. She tells Jesse a story. She says Tomás had to do something terrible for his initiation.
She says he killed a rival dealer.
And as she's telling this story, you can see it on Aaron Paul's face. The gears are turning.
It's a moment of realization that hits like a physical blow.
Mm-hmm.
She describes the killing. They gave him a gun. They told him to wait on the corner. A guy on a bike showed up. And he shot him.
Wait, a guy on a bike shot by a kid. That sounds familiar.
It should. This is the callback to end all callbacks. We have to rewind to season 2, the episode Mandala. Combo, Jesse's friend, was selling meth on a new corner. A kid on a bicycle circled him. We watched that kid pull a gun and shoot Combo dead.
And now, sitting in this living room, Jesse realizes that kid is Tomás. This woman's brother killed his best friend.
Talk about a ripple effect. It connects everything. Combo's death wasn't random. It was ordered. And the system that ordered it, the system that uses 11-year-old boys as hitmen, is the same system Jesse's working for.
That is the aha moment, but it's a nightmare. It forces Jesse to confront his own complicity. He isn't just an outlaw rebel. He is part of a machine that grinds up children.
Exactly. He can't just be the bad guy selling at NA anymore. That fantasy is over. Now he is face to face with the victimizer, who is also a victim, that's Tomás, and the grieving family, Andrea.
So what does he do? This leads us to the climax. A lesser show might have Jesse storm out or cry, but Jesse goes into detective mode.
He goes to the corner, the specific street corner where Combo died. And there he is, Tomás.
Describe this scene for us. It's very quiet, isn't it?
It's silent. There's no music at first, just the ambient street noise. Jesse approaches the kid. The kid is just a kid. He's sitting on his bike. He looks bored.
But his eyes, they're dead.
Jesse tests him. He asks to buy. It's a test to confirm the reality. When the transaction happens, the truth is sealed. This isn't a misunderstanding. This 11-year-old is a soldier.
And then Jesse looks up, and he sees the car.
The handlers. The adult dealers. 2 men in a car, watching, supervising. They are the ones pulling the strings. They are the ones who gave the order to kill Combo.
This source material describes Jesse walking away quietly but enraged. I think that's perfect. He doesn't scream, he doesn't pull a gun right there, he walks away.
That silence is louder than any scream.
Jesse is usually a loud character, yo, bitch, and all that. But here, he is seething with a cold, focused fury. He has found a purpose. It's not about money anymore. It's about vengeance. It sets the stage for a war. Jesse isn't just a cook anymore. He's a missile locked onto a target.
And he's going to drag Walt and Gus and everyone else into the blast radius.
Let's take a step back from the story for a second and look at the craft. Because this episode is beautifully made. We mentioned the director earlier, Michelle MacLaren.
A legend in the Breaking Bad canon. She directed 1 Minute, the parking lot shootout. She directed Salute later on. She's known for her cinematic eye. She loves wide shots that make the characters look small in their environment.
Which fits perfectly here. Jesse in the museum, small against the art. Jesse on the corner, small against the street. Skyler in the office, small against the legal system.
She is a master of tension. She knows how to hold a shot just a few seconds longer than comfortable. The dinner scene with Gus is all MacLaren. The way she frames them at opposite ends of the table or the close-ups on their mouths as they eat, it creates this subconscious anxiety in the viewer.
And visually, the cinematography by Michael Slovis. We talked about the White Museum, but the lighting in Gus's house, it's warm, almost inviting, which makes the threat scarier.
It's the contrast. Breaking Bad is a show about duality. High contrast lighting for high contrast morality.
Now let's talk numbers. This episode aired May 30, 2010. Viewership was 1.32 million.
Which sounds tiny.
Yeah.
Especially today, or compared to the 10 million they got for the finale. But you have to remember the context. AMC was still building this brand. And interestingly, this was an increase from the previous episode.
Fly.
The infamous Fly episode. The bottle episode where they chase a fly for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
They got 1.20 million. It was polarizing. Some people hated it. So seeing the numbers go up for Abiquiu suggests the audience came back. They didn't abandon the show. They were hooked.
What did the critics say at the time? Because now we call it a masterpiece, but was it praised then?
It was. Seth Emerton from IGN gave it an 8.9 out of 10. That's a stellar score. He specifically praised the amazing story arcs. He noted that Breaking Bad respects its audience. It brings back things like the combo shooting and expects you to remember. It doesn't hold your hand with flashbacks every 5 seconds explaining what's happening.
And the AV Club, Donna Bowman is one of the best reviewers out there.
She gave it an A-. She wrote something really insightful. She said the show is moving quickly through its starting premises. She meant that the writers aren't stalling. A lesser show would have milked Skyler's indecision for a whole season. Here, she decides to join the business in 1 episode. Jesse finds the killer in 1 episode. They burn through plot because they trust they can always invent more.
But when we look at retrospective rankings lists made years later, Abiquiu often sits in the middle. The Ringer ranked it 49th, Vulture 42nd. Why isn't it top 10?
Because it's a bridge episode. It's structural. It's the steel beams, not the fireworks. You can't have the explosive finale of Season 3, full measure, without the setup of Abiquiu. But on its own, it doesn't have the I am the one who knocks speech or the train heist. It's the workhorse episode.
Because the heavy lifting so the other episodes can fly.
Exactly. Without this foundation, the rest of the season collapses.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's try to synthesize all of this. What is the core takeaway of Abiquiu?
We started with art, the desire to make a good feeling last. We moved to business Skyler, using spousal privilege to launder money. We saw Power Gus Fring's dinner diplomacy. And we ended with tragedy Jesse discovering the interconnected web of death.
It feels like the walls are closing in.
They are. The theme is consequences. You cannot escape your past. Skyler can't escape the fact she married Walt, so she doubles down. Gus can't escape his mistake of trusting volatile people. And Jesse can't escape the violence of his trade, even when he tries to find solace in art or a new relationship.
It brings me back to that painting one last time. My last door. If Jane was right, and the goal is to make a good feeling last time, was Jesse doing the opposite in this episode?
That is the provocative thought for the day. By seeking out the killers, by peeling back the layers of Andrea's life, by going to that corner, Jesse is actively destroying any chance of a good feeling. He is punishing himself. He feels he doesn't deserve the museum. He doesn't deserve the girl. He feels he belongs on that corner in the dirt with the blood.
He's closing the door on his own happiness.
Because he believes his penance is to suffer.
Wow. That is incredibly heavy. But that is why we watch. That is why this show stands the test of time. It explores the darkest corners of the human heart.
It stares right into the abyss and usually the abyss stares back.
Thank you for listening to this deep dive into Breaking Bad's Abiquiu. It might not be the flashiest episode, but I think we've proven it's one of the most essential.
Absolutely. It's the pivot point on which the whole series turns.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive. Until then, tread lightly.
Goodbye, everyone.